Hey, and welcome to your first instructional video for week 3. As mentioned in the intro, we're going to be covering content analysis. This is, in the simplest terms, really about how to read a website. So let's talk about that a little bit. Now, I've got a lot of tips here on this first slide. So don't feel like you have to memorize all of these. Use this as a resource. You can come back to it. Take a screenshot of this. We'll make the slides available. And of course, you'll be able to go back to it and read these at any time. Now, the key takeaway here is that when you come to a website and it's part of an investigation or you want to learn more about it, you really need to go through it in a systematic way. So all of the main pages and category pages that might be listed on the footer, the About page is really important. What does it say about who runs it and what it's related to? Read the privacy policy, read copyright notices. Do they mention companies? Do they mention people? Are those different than what's listed in other parts of the website? So all of that is kind of you trying to orient yourself and figuring out who is behind it, what kind of content are they publishing, what do they claim to be? Do they link to related social media accounts? Can you take some text from an article or from the About page and put it in quotes and throw it into Google and see if it's been plagiarized from somewhere else? Does it list products, clients, testimonials, all of these kinds of things? This is how you read a website with an investigative mindset. You click tons of links. You'll learn about who's involved. You learn if they're not disclosing who's involved. You see if they disclose social accounts or other kinds of websites, products, other things that they're linked to. That's how you read a website with an investigative mindset. And that's what you need to keep in mind as you come across websites that you're trying to figure out more about. So that's kind of the general orientation of it. One thing I want to do right now is reinforce for you some of the skills and tools you've already learned. So right now, I want you to copy this URL, archive.vn/8w5tw. Okay? I want you to take that, and what we're going to do together is we're going to head and we're going to go into our web browser, into Chrome, or if you can't use Chrome, whatever you have, and we're going to make use of what Jane taught you about the WeVerify InVid plugin to use reverse image search. Okay, so let's go and check that out in Chrome right now. So here we are with our website loaded, and you can see that archive.vn URL kind of resolves to an archived page on a service called archive.today. This is a place where people will save websites. It's kind of an alternative to the Wayback Machine, and it can be useful for saving pages that sometimes won't save properly in the Wayback Machine. Now what we have here is a company website, a company called Atosis. They specialize in website design, development, media, and content. So kind of a website about website design. And what we're going to do for reverse image search here is really simple. One of the things for me is I'm going to scroll and look at this website and see what they're claiming. They're claiming they've worked on a bunch of different websites, so that would be an avenue to investigate those more. They claim some stats about clients and awards. And then here we have the people who work there, and they all seem to have LinkedIn profiles. So that's great. We would click on the LinkedIn profiles. One of the things we'd also do is we want to reverse image search some of these folks here to see, if they are who they claim to be, or if we can figure out more about them. Because when I looked at these people during an investigation, I said, these kind of look like they're stock images, the kind of photos that you can buy and place in places. They didn't, to me, look like they were real people. And so here's what we did. Let's pick this guy here with his, showing his nice watch in the photo. I go to that. I'm going to right-click with my mouse. And of course, I've got a bunch of different plugins, but the one that you and I both share is the Fake News Debunker by InVid and WeVerify. Okay, and when you right-click on an image and you open that from the menu options there, you can see that it gives you a bunch of image reverse search options. Now you can click all, and it will open a bunch of tabs in your browser for these different ones. I always make sure that I look at Google, I look at Yandex, and usually often at TinEye. So you want to search across different engines. Now, if we run that search, let's take a look at what we get. So here are the results in the Yandex for this particular guy, our smiling friend here. Now, we can quickly see here when we scroll down, we have results from websites called things like Shutterstock.com. That's a stock image website. And what is the name of the image? Business people smiling stock photo. Or we have other ones, portraits of businessmen in eyeglasses at office. So that would be one that's related on the page. You know, smiling young businessmen, and other ones here where we can see that this is all coming from stock websites. So we can see right away this is not a real guy working at a company, this is a stock image. And if we compare that to our Google results, we see him again. You know, Google is always suggesting search text here of what might be related. Corporate man, smiling face. You know, he's a generic corporate man. But again, if we scroll down, we see here very quickly stock images, stock images, stock images, business, people, and work concept. So very quickly we can see there's something wrong with the people who are supposedly working with this company. And we do that by reverse image searching the profile photos of people who work at it using the tool that Jane already taught you about. Okay, so let's move on from our reverse image search. Moving on from reverse image search, you know, let me take you a bit through the Atosis website again. So here we have on the website, you might remember as we were scrolling down, we had, you know, them listing their awards, their clients. And to me, what's interesting is, you know, they have this text there sort of generically describing what they do. We create content with a strong communications purpose, grounded in research and consumer insights, yada, yada, yada. I always like to take and search text like this on a website or on the About page if I think it's suspicious, because people often just copy and paste. So if we were to do that, take some of this text, you know, a sentence of it or the whole thing, put it in quotes and throw it into Google, what we do get is hits on at least 2 other websites, byronmeth.technology and center.id, who both had the exact same text at some point on their websites. So that is another suspicious indication. Now, did this website Atosis have it before the other 2 and they copied it, or did Atosis copy from these other 2? Well, that's something you're going to be able to check out because I'm going to show you how to use website archives in a second. But the bottom line is, if people are copying or using copied text, that's probably a sign, again, they may not be what they claim to be. Okay? There, again, there's the 2 sites that were using the exact same language. Really simple stuff, right? Reverse image search, copy and paste some text into Google and see what's there. If you know what to do, you don't have to be super technical. Okay, so now let's get to our next section here in our first instructional video, which is about analyzing social engagement patterns for a particular website or for a specific article. So there's 2 tools we're going to use. The first one here is you're going to need to mark down this URL and paste this into your web browser. So it's app.buzzsumo.com/content/web. Okay, so take that right now, type that into your web browser, hit pause on this video if you need to, you know, type it down and do it. Okay, so we're going to get that open in one of your browser tabs. The other thing that you should already have installed is the CrowdTangle browser extension. That's there. I'm going to show you how to use that. Okay, so get that BuzzSumo page open up, and the next thing we're going to do here is I got another website for you to visit. Here's the shortened link to put into your web browser, bit.ly/3KHAZYK. Again, if you need to pause the video, do that right now. Open up the BuzzSumo URL I gave you on the previous slide. Open up this URL, put those in separate tabs because we're about to make use of them together. Okay, here we go. All right, so heading over to my web browser, here is that expanded link of the one from bit.ly. So this is an article on a website called WashingtonPress.com. And, you know, again, if we quickly look at this article page, we can see here that they are prominently displaying their Facebook page, which has 1.5 million likes. So that's a pretty big page. And, you know, the content of the article here is less important to us. What we want to understand is, you know, where is this article being shared? And if they have a big page here, you can probably imagine that they shared it, but who else is sharing it? And what does that tell us, okay? So really quickly and really easily, this is where a CrowdTangle browser extension comes in. So if you follow my mouse up here, this is where the CrowdTangle browser extension is. I have a lot of different browser extensions, but this is where CrowdTangle sits. We're on a specific page. CrowdTangle browser extension is really good for a specific article, not so great for like home pages. As I'll show you, BuzzSumo is great for that in a second. Okay, so we've got our article here, and what we're going to do now is click on the CrowdTangle browser extension. All right, so here it is up in my list. I have a lot of different extensions that you can see. I'm going to click on this one. Sometimes it takes a second or two to load. And what we can see here is a really cool list of where on Facebook, not everywhere, but a lot of the sort of big public pages and groups that might have shared this specific article. And so we can see here, of course, we've got our Washington Press one, which we know is linked to the article, right? We see that over here. And what's really cool about this is you can hover over this, little comment thing here, and we can see the text that was used to share it. Just in, angry relatives of the victim are calling, etc., etc. So we can see how they shared it on their own page. But we can also see there's a huge page here called Occupy Democrats with 8.7 million fans. Oh, they used the exact same share text. And here's another pretty big page. Thank you, President Obama, 87,000 fans. The exact same share text. Anti-Trump Army, the exact same share text. Impeach Trump with 1.6 million fans. Exact same. Fight Trump, exact same. So, one, of course, we can see the amount of interactions here. And we can also see the last 7 days of Twitter shares, and we can look at other places. But the point here is that we very quickly see from just looking at who shared this post that there is identical share text across a range of all kind of left-wing American pages who potentially are connected, right? So right there, we now see the openings of a network that this website may be a part of. And remember our tip about reading the About page? Well, if we go to the About page, one of the other things that we're going to learn right away is they say they're an affiliate of Occupy Democrats. So this is a network. It's connected to Occupy Democrats. We see that from the About page, and then we see a whole bunch more pages just by using the CrowdTangle browser plugin on that one article. Now, let's do our BuzzSumo trick here. So here we go. We're going to copy and paste WashingtonPress.com. Do that in your browser right now. Pause it if you need to take a moment. And I've got BuzzSumo opened up here in my other browser tab. Now, one thing I should note is I have a paid account to BuzzSumo, so I'm going to see a lot more results than you'll see just with your free account, but it's still helpful even with the free account. And all we're going to do here is we copy that URL, we're going to paste it right in to the search bar. We're going to hit search, and what it's going to do is show us, and the filter is set for the past year, it's going to show us the top most engaged articles from this website. And you can see, Facebook engagement's pretty high here, and when we hover over it, it gives us a bit more info. It also gives us Twitter, Pinterest, and what we see right now is that by default, it's sorted by total engagement, so it sort of totals up all of these together. But if we just wanted to see, the top Facebook engagement, it would reset and show us what that looks like. So with the CrowdTangle browser extension, we see one URL, one article, and we see a network there, and we can go investigate those pages and the websites they share. And with BuzzSumo, we can also get a sense of this website, of its most popular content. So those are two really useful tools for figuring out the social engagement about a particular URL. Now, we've learned that, so let's just recap here really quickly some other final tips to wrap up this instructional video about content analysis. Again, don't feel like you have to memorize all of these right now. You can take a screenshot, you can access the slides later and learn about them. But a tip I always tell people is, of course, you're going to visit a website, but copy the domain name, just domain.com, without the HTTP in front of it, and put that in quotes and into Google. And then you're going to see what people sort of say and what Google knows about that website, okay? You can also do the same thing on Twitter and Facebook and see what people are sharing from the website and what people might be talking about the website. There's also a free tool called similarweb.com, which will show you some of the traffic patterns, where the traffic comes from to that website. It doesn't give you a huge amount of info for free, but it gives you some. And of course, if you are interested in a specific page, you've got other options in terms of looking at the archives of it. And one thing that you can do is you can search on archive.today, which also uses the domain name archive.is, to see if people have saved other pages from that website. And there's another great one called cachedview.com, where you can put in a specific URL and it will tell you if there are archived pages of it. So if you're wondering if a page has changed over time, cachedview.com is great. The Web Archive, which we're going to look at in the next video, is great, and so is archive.today or archive.is. So that's content analysis. As you can see, it's really easy, it's really straightforward. If we know just a few tools, we can have a huge amount of information and jumping off points just from reading and doing some basic analysis really quickly. And that's it for this video.